wonderful.
Come forward, please. In order to get us started off right, blessed this evening, I'm going to call on our chaplain and prayer team leader, Kathy Morgan, to lead us in our invocation.
Thank you all for standing. Now, this gentleman up front, you know, don't you? You come right up. So good to see you tonight. It's really been a while, right? Everyone's having a good mind, bowing your head. Father, we come to you in the name of Jesus, and I just want to thank you for everything you're doing for us in our country, in our state, and in our community, our county, and our city. Thank you for giving us cool air conditioning in this wonderful place, so we're not just fanning ourselves constantly. I thank you, Lord, for all of our elected officials who are here tonight, who worked so hard on our behalf. I thank you for all the precinct chairs, all the officers, everyone, Lord, who is here to promote you, because you are only in the Republican Party. It's very unfortunate that our opposition doesn't even believe in you. So, Lord, we are here to follow your lead, to follow your wisdom, to follow your ways. And I ask you, Lord, as we continue to move forward, sometimes we don't always agree, but it's necessary to forgive. And Lord, I just ask you will give us a heart to forgive others, just like you have forgiven us. Because if we don't forgive, you can't forgive us, and we need that desperately. Lord, let this meeting honor you in every way it can. Let us seek you in all ways. I ask you bless everyone, Lord, and the ones whose spouses are ill or themselves who are suffering from pain, from illness, from distress of some kind. And I'm thinking of Dixie and Cindy and Ray's wife, Angela, who's in ICU recovering. Hope today she was better with a heart attack. Lord, we ask that our prayers will encourage them to know that we are here praying to you to heal them, heal their bodies, heal their emotions and their minds, and let them be encouraged. Thank you for what Byron's going to do tonight, leading this and letting it go smooth tonight. I just want to thank you for all that you have given us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Now we'll have the presentation of the colors by the Precinct 166 Color Guard.
Color Guard, forward. Color Guard, present colors.
Now I'd like to call on Judge Randy Johnson to come forward and lead us in a pledge to the American flag.
Would you please join me in honoring our country and Old Glory, long may she wave. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
I'd like to call on Judge Brian Gant to come lead us in the pledge to the Texas flag.
Thank you. Please join me.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Yeah!
Judge.
Color Guard, three colors.
Thank you, Precinct 166 Color Guard. The next item on tonight's agenda is the declaration of a quorum. I'd like to ask the secretary if we have a quorum this evening.
Yes, sir, we do.
Looks like we do.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I do not know what Kathy was talking about saying it's nice and cool here. It always seems very warm up here. So, observation. Now it's time for us to have the introduction of the elected officials and candidates. So I just ask if you're running for office or a current elected official, if you just please line up and make your way through the microphone with as many people as we have here tonight and as many things we have on the agenda. I just ask that you keep it relatively short, though we all want to hear from you, just not all right now. So, try to take 30 seconds and no more, and we'll get through this. But we're glad you're all here, so you may start.
I am watching.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Hewitt, and I am running for the Republican nomination for State Representative in House District 70. You all probably saw our current House State Representative in House District 70 decided to break quorum this week and run off to New York with all of her Democrat pals.
Out there in Scotland.
Exactly. And I like the old fashioned, but I think that if the people in a House district hire you to go down to Austin and represent them, then you need to go down to Austin and represent them. You have a responsibility to show the work and to do your job.
I don't know whether to follow that up or not. My name is George Flynn, and I'm also running for House District 70 against Mahala Plessum. Texans for the fiscal responsibility gave her a rating of 33. That is one half of the least of our Republican representatives. Think about that for a minute. In Collin County, we have a representative that's spending your money hand over fist. We have to get rid of her. I am the candidate for that. We need to be asking two questions. Who can beat her? And when they beat her, who will deliver what they promised when they go to Austin? You know me, I ran for judge, I delivered on that promise. I won in the district. In fact, I had 1,700 more votes than Donald Trump did. Thank you.
And you see how well the Republican Party elite's doing tonight. I am running for Collin County Commissioner Precinct 4, and I just want to let you know, nobody has the right to run as a Republican. It's a privilege, and you have to earn that privilege. And today, all the way to March, all the way to whatever, you count on me earning that privilege every single day and fighting for you and our platform. Thank you so much. Cody Weaver running for County Commissioner.
Good evening. I know a lot of folks in here. My name is Dale Rose. I am a candidate for Justice of the Peace, Precinct 4, which encompasses Salina, Prosper, Frisco, and over here to Lake Forest and McKinney. I'd like to bring judicial experience back to the bench. I'm a former Collin County magistrate, been an attorney for 33 years, practicing here, 20 of it here in Collin County, and my wife and I have lived here in Collin County since 1992. So look for my information coming out. I appreciate your time.
Howdy, my name is Robert Lane. I'm Representative Candy Noble's District Director, and I'm here on behalf of Representative Noble because she's doing the quorum calls on the Texas House floor this week while the Democrats are not where they're supposed to be. I'm here to talk about Senate Bill 10. It has become law. It has become law, and we need your help to adopt a school here in Collin County or its surrounding counties so that we can get the posters of the 10 Commandments in every classroom in Texas. This is a team effort, and it has the instructions on this page, which I also provided to the party. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to give us a call, and we will help you with making sure that these posters are in the classrooms. What you do is you have a pro bono code, so you don't have to pay $1. You go on the website, you pick the school you wish to adopt. Once you've adopted that school, then you go, then the posters are mailed to your house. You take the posters to the administration, and by law, they have to accept the posters and put them in. Thank you.
Howdy, Shelby Williams, yell at me. Immediate past chairman of the Collin County Republican Party, former Plano City Council, running for Collin County Commissioner in the 4th Blue Precinct, wherein President Trump, Cruz, Abbott, Patrick, and Paxton all lost their last election. I am the only conservative Republican who can win this seat and keep it in Republican hands.
Howdy, y'all. I'm Michael Slaughter. I'm running for the precinct. We've got a kickoff coming up on August 30th. If you haven't already RSVP'd, we'd love to have everybody out there. We're going to bring a more business-centric approach to Collin County Commissioner Court Precinct 2. Thank you so much for everybody who supported me as we continue on this march to March.
How many of you saw Liam Neeson's movie Taken? My name is Woody Huffines. I have a certain set of skills that I developed over a long career, and skills that are a nightmare for people who spend money ineffectively or inefficiently in large, complex projects. If you want to know about my history, please spend some time with me. I had $4 billion projects and $1.5 billion litigations. These are skills that I acquired in a long career, and the skills that I want to put to work for you in Collin County, particularly the people in Precinct 4.
Good evening, Randy Johnson. It is an honor to represent you as good honor to serve as judge of Collin County Court of Law number 5. I am up for re-election. I look forward to your support in both the primary and the general elections this next year. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Brian Gant. I'm currently the judge of the 471st Judicial District Court here in McKinney. I was appointed by Governor Abbott in September, and I will be on the ballot in 2026. Looking forward to working with y'all.
Hello, everybody. My name is Pam Sardo, Precinct 492. There are 4 positions open in the ground zero of Josephine, the city, the tiny city that most people around the country know what it is now. And I'm going to be calling on you to help me block walk in about 30 days. So thank you all for your support.
Good evening, friends. Terry. It's great to be with you. I'm Chris Hill. I serve as your Collin County Judge. Precinct chair, a Republican precinct chair in Collin County. You have helped lead and make this county the best in Texas. It's the healthiest county in Texas. It's the safest county in Texas. The best jail in Texas. A report came out this week that the GDP of Collin County is going to surpass several United States states. That's how strong Collin County is. The #1 school in UIL in Texas was right here in Collin County. It's just a great place to be. You get to take that message to all your neighbors and tell them what a great thing is going on here and get them to be on our team. I would rather have your message than the Democrats who are now trying to convince you that in Illinois they're against gerrymandering. I'm here to help you. I need you to help me. I'm running for re-election as your county judge. I need you on my team. Most of you already have signed up. You can do that at endorsekris.com. Thank you.
Can you see me? I'm Jerry Fisher, and I serve for Senate District 2 on the State Republican Executive Committee, and part of Collin County is my district. So thank y'all for letting me come.
So thank you.
Good evening, I'm Greg Willis, your Collin County DA. For the past 15 years, I have fought to keep Collin County tonight, I'm announcing my re-election, and I would be so honored to have your support so that we can continue to keep Collin County safe and to protect your God-given rights. Thank you.
I'm Jim Pickle. I serve on the State Republican Executive Committee for Senate District 8, Angela Paxton's district. As you guys probably figure out, the SREC is doing some really crazy stuff right now. I would really relish your prayers as we go to Austin this week on Saturday to talk about censures. We do need guidance and wisdom, especially biblical wisdom, and this is the best group outside of my church to ask for that support. So thank you.
Good evening, I'm Maggie Witt, and I am your SREC committee woman for SDA. I may be petite, but I know how to kick some, you know.
Good evening, folks. My name is Jeff Forrester, and I'm here tonight to announce my candidacy for Texas House District number 89. The reason I'm running is I feel Texas is worth fighting for. I don't want to take a back seat. I don't want to sit on the sidelines and not be represented. I want to step out and be your voice. I like to get behind you and push your ideas and your voice forward. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me at www.forresterfortexas.com. Thank you very much for your time.
Good evening, my name is Stephanie Alana. Board of Trustees in May, and I've been sworn in for my second term. So I know the legislators aren't here tonight because they're waiting in Austin for their counterparts to show up to work. But I did want to thank them. So when you see them, thank them because they actually did pass a lot of bills that are helping our jobs in the school boards. I'll make it a lot easier. We now have a cell phone ban. It is effective now. They also will be posting 10 commandments. To be honest, we're getting actually a lot of complaints from parents more about anything else. The cell phones and the 10 commandments, surprisingly. But they've also helped us with our libraries. There's so many things. I don't have time to go into them all tonight. But please thank your legislators. They did a great job helping us in the ISDs do better so our kids can learn. Thank you.
As usual, you got the second most popular lot tonight. Jerry Lott here, Frisco City Council, first time winner, just got some Well, we're trying to straighten out Frisco City Council. It's a tough task, but I think I'm up to it. Got a lot of great support from folks out here, and we got several openings next year, so if anybody's thinking of running, we could use some help on Frisco City Council, so please keep that in mind. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Scott Gray, and I'm honored to be your tax assessor. I just want to brag on my staff. They're doing a wonderful job. And one of the first things I did is I lowered your credit card fees, and so far we have saved the taxpayers over $700,000.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Brandon Burden, and I am a grassroots activist and organizer that took the buses down to the Capitol in 23 with getting 17 bills passed. And it took 2 years to prepare to accomplish that mission. So now I'm announcing a new mission that's going to take me 3 years to accomplish with your help. I'm running in 2028, so I'm getting out ahead of the race, but I'm running for your next state representative for House District 67. On your chairs, there's some flyers for a grassroots workshop coming up next Saturday. I want to know all the candidates win at the next 2 sets of primaries. And so the cost is $35, includes lunch. We have Brett Rogers coming in to train us on how to win. And I would encourage you guys all to sign up tonight and be a part of that. And I'm excited to be your next state representative.
Good evening, I'm Paul Chabot. I'm representing Nate Sheets. He's one of the Texas Ag Commissioner. He couldn't be here tonight, but he will be. Nate Sheets lives in the Kenny-Frisco area. He's the founder of Nate's Honey, Nature Nate's Honey, Navy veteran, and a staunch conservative. So you'll get a chance to meet him. Put on your books, August 27th, we're doing a town hall in all of Collin County at the American Legion here in McKinney. Thanks so much. God bless. Right back over to you.
Well, good evening, Collin.
He gave me permission for this, so just relax.
I want to tell you, June and July were intense and long. 3 things I want to cover with you. One is the one big, beautiful bill, the rescissions package, and then the 3 bills that we covered that deal with digital assets. All were important, all took a lot of time, all took a lot of negotiations. During the one big, beautiful bill, you may know, I got called over to the White House with Chip Rory and Eli Crane out of Arizona to talk to the Deputy Chief of Staff one day. I got called over to talk to the Secretary of the Treasury one day. All of that was negotiations because they started with $300 billion in savings. Sounds like a big number, it's not. The Freedom Caucus was instrumental along with some other budget talks in getting it to $1.6 trillion in savings. That's the kind of work we need in Washington, D.C., from $300 billion to $1.6 trillion. We were all kind of gathered there in Chip Roy's office the night it passed. Some had voted against the rules, some had withheld their votes. But when Thomas Massey changed his vote to a no, we got the call within 15 minutes. We want to negotiate more. We got more significant commitments, one of which you've already seen. It was the executive order by the president against the Green New scam. So the commitments are actually coming. Next, the rescissions package. Yeah, the Senate took it down from $9 billion to from $9.4 billion to $9 billion. They stripped $400 billion out. But it's a precedent. Who knew the Senate could actually take money away? Who knew the Senate could actually save money? Who knew? I didn't. So that was a precedent-setting bill. We're going to see more rescission bills, and we're going to see if the Senate has any more gumption to do any more. We're going to see, because they will pass the House. The last is more important than I think the media gave it. The three bills that dealt with digital assets. The Genius bill was basically so that the big players could get in and charge interest, a little bit of infrastructure. The Clarity bill was the infrastructure for digital assets. Probably most of you in here don't know the difference between a Bitcoin, a stable coin, a digital dollar, or whatever, okay? Well, we have to have an infrastructure. The problem is the third bill was the anti-central bank digital currency bill. But in the Genius bill,
us fiscal hawks were convinced that there was a back door to CBDC. Convinced there was a back door. We didn't care what you told us. The way the language read, there was a back door to a central bank digital currency. So we spent most of the night on that one. Went back over to the White House on that one to negotiate on that one. And we're convinced that one, the bill was strengthened, and two, we have a commitment going forward. The first commitment is to put it in the National Defense Authorization Act, which is one of the must-pass bills in the Senate and the House every single year. We've got a plan, but I am committed to protecting you from total transparency of your finances. Folks, total transparency of your finances, in my mind, is the final nail in a surveillance state. You want to buy a big Ford pickup? Maybe not. We won't let you. You want to buy, a gun? I can't buy a gun if we have total transparency. We're going to protect you from that, and I am committed to that. That was June and July. Let me tell you, folks, this entire second term of mine has been intense because we have Donald Trump in the White House, and he is... It is totally different having the Senate and the White House with us now. We're busy. I haven't been at home much in the last 7 months, not nearly as much as I want to be, but it's because we are doing a lot up in D.C., and we're going to continue. Thank you for your support. Let me tell you, your appreciation of what I'm doing just encourages me. We are going to stay the course and continue to work for you. Thank you so much.
So the next item on tonight's agenda is the approval of the minutes from the June 9th, 2 months ago, Executive Committee meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Brian Fletcher, Precinct 134, I make a motion that we accept the minutes.
Sandy Halsey, Precinct 32. I second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor of approving the minutes as presented in the call from the June 9th Executive Committee meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? They're adopted. The next item on the agenda is chairman's remarks, and so I do have a few things to say tonight. They won't be long, but before I do, I want to recognize some people, both from Collin and without, that have been die-hard warriors for the conservative cause. And I'll just let you know that Lee Breckenridge Moore, from our House District Chair in HC 89, brought this to my attention, and we've been trying to coordinate it for a couple of meetings, and then we skipped July. So I'm just going to read this to you and honor these people. One of them is not able to attend tonight, but when I call their names, if you are here, please stand and be acknowledged. The first award is the annual Texas Scorecard Conservative Leader Award. This award highlights the men and women of the grassroots who work to make the Lone Star State shine brighter than ever. The award recipients are nominated by their peers, men and women who have seen them step up as citizen leaders in their neighborhood and communities. This is a statewide award that started in 2014. In some years, Collin County has one or none that make the cut. But last year, in 2024, we had 3 of our grassroots leaders win from Collin County. The first is Tammy Warren. Tammy received the Conservative Leadership Award from Texas Scorecard for outstanding work in civic engagement and community leadership. Her focus has been on transforming passion into positive action by encouraging people to serve on boards and commissions and get involved in their communities. She believes strong convictions should be channeled into constructive and productive outcomes. Tammy is passionate about encouraging others to vote and engage in local government. where we can make the most direct difference, as we learned recently in the local elections for Frisco School Board and City Council. She knows there is something for everyone to do and wants to help everyone find their place of service in our communities. Please congratulate Tammy Warren on receiving this award. The next recipient is Shannon Ayers. Shannon received the Conservative Leadership Award from Texas Scorecard for her advocacy on behalf of Texas families and children. Shannon here? There's Shannon. This recognition reflects a year of dedicated work protecting parental rights and education, attending school board meetings across all Collin County to advocate for legislation that safeguards children in our schools by removing inappropriate content from school libraries, opposing policies that undermine parental authority, exposing government overreach in education, and ensuring schools maintain appropriate boundaries regarding facilities and Title IX implementation. She has also worked directly with parents navigating the grievance process and called out school districts for their refusal to protect children from harmful policies and content. Please recognize Shannon Ayers and congratulate her on receiving the next recipient of an award from Texas Scorecard was Laura Giles. I don't believe she is here tonight, but I'm going to read her recognition as it appears. Laura was honored to receive the Conservative Leader Award for her dedicated involvement in both local and statewide efforts to stop the sexualization of Texas children, protect family and children's data privacy, and restore transparency and accountability at the local level. Her efforts included training parents, community members, and taxpayers about the law and their rights by empowering citizens with the knowledge they need to effectively advocate for their families. Through her service on municipal and nonprofit boards and her passion for helping communities become civically engaged, informed, and self-sustaining, it has made her a valuable resource for families across Texas. Her work to combine education, transparency, and grassroots empowerment has earned her recognition as a true conservative leader who understands that strong communities are built through informed and engaged citizens who know their rights and aren't afraid to exercise them. Please join me in congratulating Laura on this award. I'd also like to recognize another member of our body, Debbie Lindstrom, Precinct Chair of 209. Just saw Debbie today at the Commissioner's Court, so good to see you there. Debbie will be receiving the 2025 Grassroots America Champions of Freedom Keepers of the Flame Award. In August this month, in recognition of her personal sacrifice and consistent dedication to Texas and the great cause of liberty. So just to say, Debbie has demonstrated tireless dedication over the past 5 years to strengthen our electoral process through transparency, trustworthiness, and security. Her outstanding efforts include advocating for meaningful election reforms and improvements, providing comprehensive training to election officials, and so much more, and working on legislation to improve or protect the process or ensure strict adherence to the election code. Through her commitment to election integrity, Debbie has made a significant impact on protecting the foundation of the electoral process. These deserving patriots wear multiple hats and serve in numerous ways. Grassroots America will spotlight the winners, their service, they'll celebrate them and encourage them to keep going. Please celebrate Debbie and the rest of our award winners for these awards.
You're always with the pictures, that's it.
I'm multitasking over here.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Because she brought it up. Whatever. Pat on the back.
Jump down, but I can't jump up. couple of remarks tonight, and I'm not going to do this often, but I think as we embark into some, what I would consider treacherous waters as a body with respect to censures and a campaign season, that obviously people are going to differ on who they choose to support in primaries and that. I just wanted to say a few words about our PCRB committee and some other things, just to kind of guide the body on my thoughts. I obviously have no authority over committee chairman, but just to give you my thoughts on a couple areas that I think we need to be mindful of as we go through the next 3 or 4 months. The first is the recruitment and vetting of precinct chairs from open precincts. This body has adopted bylaws and rules which require that all prospective precinct chairs, save for one exception, which I'll talk about in a minute, need to be vetted and approved by a standing committee of this body. I understand that because the body itself has to vote as well, we have a backstop, and we have the PCRB as a backstop, and sometimes it seems cumbersome, it seems like too many layers, it seems like there could be some personal issues going across HD with respect to precinct chairs and other HD's business, because I see all the text messages, most of it's all in good faith, this isn't anything that's threatening to direct us. But I just want the body to know that my position on this is the body's position, not my position. While I may have opinions on how to recruit precinct chairs and how to fill up the vacancies we have, and we have too many, so I'm going to urge the system we have to be energized, and I know our HD chairs are working overtime to get it done. I just want to remind everybody that if the body or an HD chair or any precinct chair believes that our process of vetting, recruiting, and basically appointing, putting them into office is too cumbersome, takes too long, then I would ask that someone draft a rule, take it to the rules committee, go through the process, and bring it to the body. Mindful of the fact that that has been attempted in the past, and the body has decided that we need a PCRB committee to shepherd this process. So, that does not mean it wouldn't be heard, it doesn't mean it wouldn't be acted on. I prefer it to be at the organizational meeting simply because we've already had this out in the middle of the year, and so we don't need to relitigate it. But anything that comes to the process will be brought to the body in due order, and we'll vote on it regardless of my preference. But I just want everyone to know that we need to work together to fill those precinct chair spots. And we can work without objection, we can suspend the rules, we can work through unanimous consent. There are a lot of ways to speed the process up under the rules of order. But if anyone objects, and anybody wants the rules to be followed to the letter, the rules require me to get a report from the chair of the PCRB telling me who gets read off at an EC meeting. So I don't read anyone's name off for a vote unless I get a report from the chair of the committee. It's not my preference, it's not who I want to put in, it's not who any of our HD chairs want, it is the chair of a committee that sends me a report. If a name's not on that report, it is not on my radar for purposes of appointments at the next meeting unless it gets fixed before the actual meeting. So I just want everyone to be clear on that as a body, how we do that. And if anyone has a problem with it, we have a process by which that can be changed mid-2-year biennium or at an organizational meeting when we need to do that. So I'm happy to take anyone's counsel. I'm sure HD chairs would like any ideas they could get on how to better fill all the spots we have. We need all the spots filled going into this next election because it's going to be a tough one. So on the PCRB, just be aware that's how the process works, and it's going to continue to work that way, at least under my chairmanship, until the rules are changed. Moving on to another topic, we'll end on a happy topic. With respect to Rule 44, I want everyone to remember, first and foremost, the debate over Rule 44 was had. In other words, there were disputes, debates, arguments, issues, people disagreed, people agreed. It was passed. The grassroots leaders of this party, who are hardly any elites or anybody that gets listened to half the time. Those people worked hard and fought and argued and debated and voted on Rule 44. So for the body to spend time relitigating Rule 44 is not only a waste of the time we don't have with respect to nominating and then electing Republicans, it's also divisive. And it's not going to change at this level. There is nothing this body can do about Rule 44 in this election cycle. There is a precinct chair convention coming, there is a SD convention coming, there is a state convention coming at which all the rules are back on the table, and if you can convince a majority of the delegates that Rule 44 should be vacated or changed in some way, you have that right as an individual person. And that is what's great about our party, is some of our best platforms that we adopt came from one person who was hitting their head up against the wall at a precinct chair convention or an SD convention, and it's actually in our platform now. But on the flip side, whether or not you support Rule 44 or the sanctions including therein is not the measure of whether or not you're a Republican. And it is not the measure of whether or not you're conservative. Now, whether or not you want to hold anyone accountable for basically breaking the rules and misbehaving and not recognizing the grassroots, that pretty much is an indication of whether or not you're a Republican or conservative. So what is not productive is to consider anyone who is against Rule 44 or certainly against the sanction that someone be removed from the ballot or not allowed to use an R is a rhino. And on the flip side, those who support Rule 44, like the grassroots, and those who fought hard to get it in place and wanted it implemented and wanted people held accountable, they are not fascists or communists or anti-democratic. In fact, there are few of our rules that reflect democracy at the grassroots level, qua actual direct democracy, better than the process by which Rule 44 became part of the Republican Party of Texas rules. So my only counsel is to remember, we're all in this fight together. And the debate over who should be censured, what they should be censured for, whether or not they should be allowed to run as a Republican in the next primary is very, very important. And to my understanding, that process is happening. It is happening with earnest in the HD caucuses. It is happening seriously by the rules. It is happening orderly, and for the most part, I understand it is happening respectfully. I just ask the body to continue that. Let's get through that process. Let's have whatever comes out of it go to Austin for the SRC to deal with, and then we can turn our attention to the primary season, who we're going to represent, and make sure that the old-fashioned way of making sure we're represented prior to Rule 44, that we also still invoke that, and that is to use the primaries to primary anybody that we don't believe actually represents our values in this country. To that end, I do want to commend our HD chairs, especially three in 89, 66, and 67, who are treacherously navigating the waters of a brand new rule, a number of precinct chairs that some are new and have not experienced this yet. And so I want to commend them, and I hope that everyone will support them in them acting respectfully and fairly in the process and bringing whatever resolutions come out of each one of those bodies to the RPT. Once it is done, I think that process should be respected. They should shake their hand and say, good job navigating those waters, because it is not easy on them or their precinct chairs. And thank them for doing a good job, and just continue up with the good work, HD chairs. On a happier note, I'd like to recognize my temporary parliamentarian for the night, Hayden Paget, who has just recently been reelected to a term of chairman of the Young Republican National Federation. I got it right, so stand up, Hayden. And lastly, let's talk a minute about our Labor Day rally. So the party is holding a Labor Day rally on September 1st at South Fork Ranch. It's going to be from 12 to 2, doors open at 11:30. It is a registration event, but it is a free event. So there's burgers, there's going to be a bounce house, a kid zone, so it's a family event. We're going to have hamburgers, there'll be non-alcoholic beverages, there'll also be bars for those who want to have a beer on Labor Day. We're going to have some special guest speakers. We're going to really unite and kick off the campaign season by hearing from a lot of candidates that want to get us energized and office holders, as well as some that are running for office and want to get your vote. This is going to be a positive, unifying rally for Collin County Republicans and Conservatives. So I ask you to please mark your calendar, save the date. If you have a club, there are tables available. You can reserve a table for lunch. You can also have a campaign table only where you just put out information, and that goes for clubs as well. Clubs can have an information table where they have all their information out and put it on the tables and explain why you should join, and we'll be signing people up there as well. We're also going to be signing people up to our Sustaining Supporter Charter Member Program, as well as volunteers for events and all sorts of things. So mark your calendars for that. We'd like to see every one of you out there and kick off the campaign season in style. Lastly, I wanted to mention something. Tonight's budget night. We're going to go over the budget. We're going to look at the numbers. We're going to talk about it when people want to talk about it. But I just want to ask all of the precinct chairs to think about this. We are going to make a really big push in fundraising this year to try to decouple ourselves from two things. One is the relationship type fundraising, which basically depends on whoever happens to be chair and who they know and who their friends are and who they usually go to for donations. That is transient, which means that comes and goes depending on who the chair is. And we've had some good chairs that could fundraise and had great relationships. And I intend on using mine for the good of the party. My point is that needs to last. We need to build a relationship between the party and individuals that give to this party. And we need to take care of them separate and apart from who a chairman or a vice chair or someone in the party happens to know. So I really want to work on that. And to that end, to do that and to decouple it from that, and to decouple it on the second point from Lincoln Day. So we are in a position. First, we need to have a good Lincoln Day this year. We'll talk tonight about the budget and what my kind of goal is and vision is for Lincoln Day and what we need to make. But we really need to start with a more sustained fundraising effort year-round so that our ability to operate on a yearly basis as a party and pay our administrative fees is not based on whether or not we get the right speaker or pull off a Lincoln Day that makes us just enough money or else our budget falls short. So I really want those two goals. And to that end, I really want to challenge precinct chairs to do one of two things. We have a Sustaining Supporter membership where you get a pin that says charter member on it. As a charter member, it costs $10 a month or $120 a year. Okay? Lincoln Day tickets this year, I think, are going to be about $150. So I would like to challenge every precinct chair to either join the Sustaining Supporter Charter Member Club, get your pin and the other benefits that come with it. It's on the website for $10 a month, or buy a ticket to Lincoln, which is about $150. So if every single precinct chair that we have active just was a charter member, and I'm hoping you're trying to sell it to others, so it's good to be able to wear the pin and say you are, or bought a ticket to Lincoln Day, or both, but bought a ticket to Lincoln Day, it would dramatically change the financial bottom line of this party overnight. Not just plans we could have, but also other decisions we could make as a party, not tethered to looking forward to February and making sure that we made the huge haul that allowed us to make. So I'd like to ask you to pray about that, think about it, and ask yourself, I know you're volunteering to do this. I know money can be tight, even in Trump's economy. Things are turning around, but just pray about it, think about it, and I'd really like to see everybody, I'd really love to see you at Lincoln Day, but if you don't want to buy a ticket or don't want to come, sign up for the Sustaining Member Charter Member Program, get your pin, wear it with pride, and that could really help with that plan of decoupling our fundraising from one huge fundraiser every year. So if y'all would join me in that, I would really appreciate it. And so mark your calendars for the Labor Day rally. We're going to be signing other people up. I think we have, I don't know, going on, we have dozens of Sustaining members already, and they're not necessarily all precinct chairs, and some give more than $10 a month. So let's try to do that. Let's come to the Labor Day rally. Let's eat some free food. Let's see the candidates and cheer, and let's kick off the campaign season, conservative Republican style. Thank you. The next item on tonight's agenda is precinct chair abandonments, resignations, and appointments. just read them. Maybe I will just read the names. Yes, for what purpose do you wish to be recognized, Mr. Cameron?
I would like to make a motion that we divide the question for the precinct chair applications.
Okay, well, we're not there yet, so you'll hold your motion until we get to the actual appointments, then I will recognize you to make that motion. So first we have resignations. Denise Midgley from HD 70, Precinct 53. Dana Sickler, HD 70, Precinct 14. And Ellen Larkin, HD 89, Precinct 224. I make a motion that we accept these resignations and remove those precinct chairs from their positions as noted. Do I have a second? Sorry. Name of precinct.
Precinct 43, second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. We also have one abandonment, which all of the prerequisite notices were sent out. The registered letter was sent out, certified. It came back, and we have no response. So I make a motion that the body remove Matt Weed, HD 33, Precinct 217, from office. Do I have a second?
Precinct 43, second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. The next item up are the appointments, in which we have 7 prospective appointments. I believe Mr. Cameron, state your name and precinct number when you come up, has a motion on that report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Robert Cameron, Precinct 34. I move that we have a separate vote for the applicant for Precinct 119. Thank you.
Motion has been made that we separate the vote for the applicant for Precinct 119. Is there a second?
John Melvin, Precinct 137, second.
I have a motion and a second to divide the question basically and separate the applicant for Precinct 119 from the remaining of the precinct chair applicants. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Nay. In the opinion of the chairs, the ayes have it. The question will be divided. We'll start with the precinct chairs for which the question was not divided. So the appointments are in HD 66, Keith Thomas, Precinct 154. HD 67, Tanya Patterson, Precinct 218. HD 70, Terry Honeycutt, Precinct 21. HD 70, Denise Midgley, Precinct 53. HD 70, Lori Lyles, Precinct 196. Excuse me, is that 89, Lee? Okay, HD 89, I apologize, Lori Lyles, Precinct 196. And HD 89 dash Warasini, Precinct 141. Do I have a motion to appoint these, the precinct chairs I just listed as, I make a motion to appoint those listed as precinct chairs.
Precinct 43, second.
Yes, if I called your name for appointment of precinct chairs tonight, please come forward or at least stand up and let us know you're here. Okay. Wave to the crowd. All in favor of these appointments say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Motion carries. There is one other appointment that was separated from the question. That was HD 66, David Leafy, Precinct 119. I make a motion that David Leafy, Precinct 119, be appointed Precinct Chair for Precinct 119. There's a motion and a second. This is debatable. So I will take 3 for, and 3 against. So I'll line up at the microphone and state your name, precinct number, whether you're for or against.
Yes, Robert Cameron, Precinct 34, and I am speaking against the reduction of. Make a motion to move to executive session for this discussion. Second motion.
There's a motion and a second. This motion is debatable, so now we are on to whether or not we want half the room to vacate for a 10-minute debate on precinct chair applicant for precinct 119. So I will take 3 for and 3 against on whether or not we should go into executive session to debate this vote.
Robert Jan Ryan, precinct 34, and my suggestion for concurring with executive session is that this is a painful discussion. Speaking about a person that I consider to be a friend, and yet having to take a stand. So, for the sake of people's feelings, I think that an executive session would be appropriate. Thank you.
Anyone against going into executive session to, just so everyone's clear, you cannot go into executive session to vote on the appointment of a public official. We can only go into executive session to debate the question of whether or not to appoint, just so everyone's clear.
Stephen Dallas 102. I'd like to remind everybody that pretty much everything we do as a party is put online, and all this stuff is argued ad infinitum on social media. I am fairly certain that the gentleman up for discussion is big boy, and he'll be able to handle anything that might be said against him. And if you're brave enough to talk about him in private, you ought to be able to be brave enough to speak about him in public. For that reason, I oppose
That's 1 for and 1 against executive session.
John Donovan, 137.
For against Mr.
I'm for the motion to get into executive session. I'm going to make the motion. I think people know me, I'm not afraid to speak in front of anybody about anything. So that there is nothing to do with it. Actually, it does have to do with, I respect the person we're going to be talking about, but I feel like we need to be brutally honest, and I don't believe that it's necessary for him to have that discussion outside of the body that's making the decision. And I think it's in respect to him and our body to do that. Have a private debate and discussion. Obviously, as you said, we have to vote in public, so it's not going to be hidden in the final vote. But I personally think, while some people may choose to take it online and besmirch someone, I personally don't think that's what we as a body should be promoting. We should be having our debate in family here and then make our vote public.
That is 2 for executive session and 1 against.
Tim Bates, precinct 112. So I know this individual, his feelings don't get hurt very well. I don't think we need to go to executive session. I'll tell you that he is a good precinct chair, or has been in the past, lockbox and everything else. His feelings aren't going to get hurt. So I don't think we need to kick everyone out, just to have a quick discussion and vote on whether or not he should be a precinct chair or not.
Mr. Bates, that's 2 for and 2 against. I'll hear 1 more for moving to executive session and 1 more against. Motion has been made to call the question. We need a second on that.
Michael Sheen, 56. I second.
There's been a motion and a second. This motion is not debatable, so I'll call for the yeas and nays. All in favor of moving to executive session to vote on the applicant or to debate? Oh, excuse me, yes. All those in favor of calling the question on whether or not to move to executive session to vote on the applicant for precinct 119, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The question is called. We'll now move to a vote on whether or not to go into executive session, which is a closed session, for the debate on the motion to approve the applicant for precinct 119, David Levy. All those in favor of going into executive session, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Nay. In the opinion of the chair, the nays have it. So we will proceed to debate on the applicant for precinct chair 119. I'll have 3 for and 3 against. So if you have anything to say for or against the applicant, Mr. Levy for precinct 119, being appointed, not against Mr. Levy, but against his appointment as precinct chair for precinct 119, please step forward. Name and precinct, please. And whether you're for or against.
Robert Canright, precinct 34, against the induction. And my reasons are, first of all, with his absence, I and I think a number of other people have observed our meetings have flowed more smoothly and more amiably. So I think that our meetings are improved, have been improved with his absence. It's on top of all of this, one of the things that saddens me over the years is the amount of hostility I have seen evidenced by this candidate, which I think has been a detriment to many of our meetings. When Dr. David Clements was here in town to talk to us about election integrity as an outside visitor who traveled here from out of state, our candidate here was red-faced angry over the discussion on election integrity. That loss of temper, I thought, was not good representation of our party, especially for a guest driven in out of town. Other examples of the hostility, his repeated efforts to have people voted out of meetings, including me. That's unnecessary. And also, when he would go up to the public, and I'm talking to a voter at a polling place, he goes up and casts aspersions on my candidate and says, "Oh, look, it's not the big wind that blew down my guy's signs. Don't you think it's suspicious that this guy's signs are up?" I mean, it was uncalled for. It's kind of hostility with the member of the public. I think we're better off with the gentleman's absence, much as I like him. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Wainwright, I'll have 1 for the appointment of David Levy for precinct 119.
Tim Bates, precinct 112, and HD 66 chair. I'd like to mention that, some people's thought that this candidate is adversarial. It's more of that he has passion. And it's not, there are some people that may disagree with some of the things that any one of us does, but he has passion. And as HD 66 chair, I've been looking for someone to replace David in precinct 119, and I haven't been able to find anyone yet. And he's a great block walker. He's works the polls. I mean, he does everything that needs to be as a precinct chair. And I think it would be a disservice to our EC if we don't have someone who has this passion and this level of knowledge within our executive committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bates. That is 1 for the appointment of Mr. Levy and 1 against.
John Donovan, precinct 137, speaking against candidate Levy. I think I can speak from a pretty good perspective in a couple of ways. One, with regards to the last comments, again, I think people would probably recognize that I can be as passionate about anything that we do as anybody. So I certainly respect passion. However, the reality is that we have to have people that are committed. David Letty quit the county committee 2 years ago because he didn't get his way. And he quit. And I worked hard to try to talk him out of quitting. I was the one trying to get him to stay and contribute. And he was adamant because he didn't get his way, he was quitting. In June, as you all witnessed at our meeting, David didn't like the way it was going. He didn't get his way, so he quit. We don't need quitters in this body. We need dedicated workers. And the beauty of this is, he doesn't have to be a precinct chair to be a block captain and be a great block worker. He doesn't have to be the precinct chair to work at the polls and be a poll reader, or even be a judge. I don't think you have to be a precinct chair to be a judge if you want to. So he can't, he's not, we don't want to stop him from contributing, but he's not committed to what we're doing to the level that we need him. We can't have him quitting every time he doesn't get his way. Thank you.
1, 2 against and 1 for. I'll hear someone for the appointment of Mr. Levy for precinct 119.
Mark Myers, precinct 116. It's somewhat ironic to me that we hold out a standard that if you lose your temper or disrupt meetings, that perhaps the two speakers that want to prevent David Lee from becoming the precinct chair would have failed that standard. And I say that as two precinct chairs who I consider to be my friends, that I can work with, and have never advocated that they be stripped of their precinct chair positions. Quite candidly, can David Lee be a pain in the ass? Yes, he can.
100%.
Do I disagree with David Lee? Many times? Yes, I do. However, that does not change my position that David Lee has every right to come back and become a precinct chair again. David is a passionate speaker. He does get irritated at times, but never it hasn't been to the point where I see him bring a meeting to an end or prevent the business of the meeting from being conducted. So I stand, despite my differences with David, in full support of him being able to come back and serve as a precinct chair again.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. That is 2 for and 2 against. Do I have any other speakers on this motion before we go to a vote?
Byron, can I make a motion?
Okay.
Item 50, precinct 111, I motion that we table consideration of this candidate until the next meeting.
Oh, come on.
Byron, continue or not? Is it appropriate for me to provide my reason why?
Not yet. So you made a motion that we table the appointment of David Leahy to be the precinct chair for precinct 119 until the next meeting.
Consideration.
That will require a second.
Chair Shoemaker, 28, I'll second.
So I have a motion and a second. So that motion, I thought, is not debatable, so we will move directly to a vote on whether or not to table the appointment of Mr. Levy as precinct chair of precinct 119 to the next meeting. All in favor of tabling this, the motion to appoint him until the next meeting, say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. In the opinion of the chair, the nays have it. So we'll proceed with no more speakers and no more debate. We'll proceed to a vote on the appointment of Mr. Levy as precinct chair for precinct 119. All in favor?
I'd like to speak for him, if I may. Or
We've
did we
had
already?
We've had 2 against and 2 for. Against went first, so I guess if you want to speak for, we can speak for, and then we can have 1 more against.
Stephen Callis, 102. I think we've all had our differences. Some of us get more animated than others. Some of us get frustrated. Some of us quit in disgust. Some of us shake our heads. Some of us just go home and grumble. But at the end of the day, we're a party that wants people to be involved. We want somebody to be.
Cindy Paul, Precinct 84, it's my understanding
Hold
that.
on just a second, wait till you get to the mic.
Cindy
David
Paul,
Precinct.
Precinct 84. It's my understanding that before you can have anyone for or against, you have to have someone acknowledge that's going to be countering that.
Someone decided after we were about to vote they wanted to be for, so someone could certainly decide after the for that they want to be against. So we asked for 3 for and 3 against, so.
Okay, well, it's my understanding that we always had it where if no one else was standing up to speak the counter argument that the comment wasn't allowed.
Well, I didn't know that you had to be standing up and acting like you wanted to speak at the time. Because Mr. Collins may say something that spurred someone to stand up and speak, so. I can't tell whether anyone else is going to speak against, so point of order is overruled. Mr. Collins, you may continue.
As I was saying, the body's made it clear they want to vote on this tonight. I think we're going to make the right decision, put the guy back in the precinct where he belongs, and we can move on with the business at hand. Thank you.
Are there any other speakers who would like to speak against? Name and precinct, chair, please. Name and precinct, please.
Nancy Robertson, Precinct 221. Point of information, can Mr. Leakey speak on his behalf why he feels he wants to be a chair in Rain Street?
He could have spoken, he could have asked for a point of personal privilege to speak, or he could have spoken on behalf of himself during the debate. He chose not to. There's already been 3-4. He has not risen to ask for any specific privilege from the body to address the body. So at this time, the answer to your question is yes, he is allowed to, but it's not forced to. Are there any other speakers against Mr. Leakey being appointed precinct chair for Precinct 119? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor of appointing in HD 66 David Leakey as precinct chair of Precinct 119, say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. In the opinion of the chairs, the ayes have it. Mr. Leakey is appointed officially to the precinct chair position for Precinct 119. Would all of the recently appointed precinct chairs please come forward to be sworn in and have your photo taken. Our County Judge Chris Hill, come on, applause. We'll do the swearing in.
Congratulations to all of our new precinct chairs. We welcome you and we thank you for joining us in our efforts to keep this the best county in Texas. If you would please raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of precinct chair and as your number. And that I will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States and of the state of Texas. I furthermore solemnly swear that I will encourage people in my precinct to be involved by identifying voters, registering voters, informing voters, turning out voters, working the polls, assisting candidates, and I will be involved in party convention. Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, your new precinct chair.
Lagland.
I always put this. He put it on the camera's like right there, and he's like, no, right. Yeah. Actually, just hold faces.
Next item on tonight's agenda. First of all, let me just get another round of applause. We are in desperate need of adding to our precinct chair ranks, and adding this many in one night is very important. PCRP that are just working tirelessly to fill all of these spots. Thank you. The next item on tonight's agenda is the appointment of committee chairs and team directors. I will start with the committee chairs. There are 3 pursuant to our rules. All of these proposed committee chairs for standing committees of the Collin County Republican Party need to be nominated. A majority vote of the body of 7 consisting of all 6 precinct chairs, all 6 HD chairs, and the chairman, and all of those that I am going to ask for approval as appointment of committee chairs have received the requisite votes of that body to be nominated as committee chairs tonight. The committee chairs for standing committees that stand to be nominated are Frank Deutschman for the Elections Committee, John Montez for the Candidate Committee, and Brian Will for the Committee on Finance and Fundraising. So I make a motion that the body approve Frank Deutschman as chair of elections, John Montez as chair of candidates, and Brian Will as chair of finance and fundraising. There's a motion and a second. Is there any debate? Sure. So would Frank Deutschman, John Montez, and Brian Will please come forward and stand here and basically be overruled by the body? So just so the body knows that the candidate committee vacancy occurred when Mr. resigned his position and is now a precinct chair again. The elections committee, after long service, Catherine Gibbs had great service on elections in various capacities for decades, has stepped down from the elections committee, and Denise McNamara, who served finance and fundraising as chair, was recently made the head back in our June meeting of the PR and comms team. So we're in need of a new chair of the standing committee on finance and fundraising, which Mr. Will has stepped out. So those are the circumstances which led to the vacancies on the 3 standing committees mid-biennium. So with that, I ask the body to approve of Mr. Deutschman, Mr. Montez, and Mr. Will as chairs of the respective standing committees. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The ayes have it. They are hereby appointed to the committee so designated. Thank you, gentlemen, for stepping up. There is also one open team director position, which requires approval of the executive committee in order for that person to take office. He's already doing the job and doing it well, but I need to bring him before the body and have him approved so he can take his official appointment and start official service tonight, and that is for the events team, and that is Dave Scott. Mr. Scott, would you please come forward? I make a motion that Dave Scott be officially appointed to the director of the events team. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Madam Secretary, 42 seconds.
We got a co-second there. So we have a co-second. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of Dave Scott as director of the events team say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Dave is appointed as the events team director. Thank you. So as you know, I took office in April after a weird meeting where we had a meeting, and then we had a special meeting, and then we had a little short meeting at the very end where we voted on helping some local candidates, and then we had We appointed temporary officers, and I committed to the body in June that when we came back from the recess, I would appoint officers permanently to the extent I could cajole those people into serving. So here is the slate of officers that I am asking the body to approve tonight. I have asked Stephen Callis to continue to serve as from Precinct 102 as first vice chair. Brian Fletcher from Precinct 134 to continue to serve as second vice chair. They have continued doing the job since I was elected and are working on projects for me as we speak, so I've asked that they remain on at this time. For third vice chair, I've asked that the body approve Ellen Lovelace of Precinct 153 for third vice chair. I asked the body to appoint Sue Reeves, Precinct 179, as permanent secretary. I asked the body to approve Jim Farley as treasurer. I asked the body to approve Mr. Court Smith as general counsel to the party. I asked the body to approve Dave Scott as chief sergeant at arms, Mr. Richie Rogers and Jim Reeves as additional sergeant at arms. For parliamentarian, I do not have an appointment for a permanent parliamentarian, but I asked that the body appoint Mr. Hayden Patchett, who previously served in this position, as temporary parliamentarian until I am able to locate somebody either within the body or without that is willing to serve. And I speak to them about serving as permanent parliamentarian. So for now, we will leave an open spot for permanent, and we won't vote on that tonight. So I make a motion that the body approve that slate of officers for the remainder of this biennium until the organizational meeting.
And second.
Thank you.
They were in 247 because I enjoyed Googling these, we have them mainly for the new precinct chairs.
You sure can, yes. So if you have been nominated to serve as an officer for the remainder of this biennium, would you please come forward?
Just hold up some papers. Careful, Sue.
And while they're doing that, I just want the body to know that I have ideas for jobs for each of the vice chairs to help the chair with. But I just wanted to inform the body that normally one of our vice chairs serves as in charge of conventions. It was traditionally the first vice chair, as Mr. John Myers served in that capacity for years. Mr. Myers has agreed to come back this year and chair or be in charge of conventions, and if elected as such, act as a temporary chair and permanent chair if elected for the conventions. So that relieves one of the regular jobs of the vice chairs. So we have a little bit of flexibility with the election coming up, the need to flip HD 70 back. We have some additional jobs that we can saddle our new vice chairs with once they are appointed. So now that you have seen them, Lee, are you satisfied? Now we may proceed. Lee is satisfied. So I make a motion, and we've had a motion in a second, so all in favor of approving this slate of officers to serve in their permanent capacity and for the remainder of the biennium, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you very much, and thank you for being served. Now I'm going to call on Jim Farley, our past treasurer and now current treasurer, to give the body an overview. And just think of this as not a financial review. This is an overview of the performance of the party financially in the 2024-2025 biennium. So he is just here not to debate the wisdom of the numbers, but just to show you objectively what the numbers are for the party from 2024 to 2025. Mr. Farley? Oh, I need to pull up the thing, sorry. Give me just a moment.
Is that what he was? Is this what this is?
Hey, Terry, could you come find that for me? Sorry about it, just a moment.
Anyway, I'm Jim Farley, the treasurer, and what I'm going to go through is the numbers for this is the end of the year. June 30th was the end of the year, so we started our fiscal year July 1st through June 30th, so that's what these numbers are. Okay, this is the cash balance, and we're at the end of June, $178,000. At the end of May, we're 201. A year ago, the same time last year, it was 262,000. So we got in cash. We invested some money in the victory campaign. That's basically what happened, and that's where we're at. Okay. Okay, this is the administrative only budget. And this is where a lot of the activities are, day-to-day spending, basically. And we had $40,000 come in, just donations, and the budget was $35,000, so we're $5,000 to the good compared to the budget. For spending and administrative, it was $172,000 was the total spending for the year. The budget was $258,000, so we were $86,000 better than the budget. Overall, for the administrative only again, we had $131,000 negative cash out the door. This is where the spending is. The budget's $223,000, so we're actually better than budget. We were both better on the revenue side of 5 and the spending side of 86, so it was 91, almost 92 favorable to the budget. Okay, this is the all the other stuff. Put some notes here. As I said, the administrative budget was $5,000 favorable revenue, $86,000 favorable expense, $91,000 total favorable. Lincoln Day was $33,000 favorable to the budget on the revenue side, $34,000 unfavorable on the spending side. We had a speaker, as you recall. Just to let you know, we departed, we're normally on a cash basis. We departed based on, we had the budget committee meeting and I was advised to make a few non-cash adjustments. So that's what I did. We included $12,500 on the revenue side for Lincoln Day, which came in like July 3rd, and it was for the last Lincoln Day. So we made the adjustment, annual adjustment. So all together, we had $233,000 of income from Lincoln Day, $150,000 expense, so it was $83,000 favorable, which was within $2,000 of the budget, which was $85,000. So we were real, at the end of the day, we were real close on Lincoln Day. On Victory, we're $35,000 favorable to the budget on the revenue side. Basically, the Trump signs sold like crazy. Good thing for Trump. 37,000, almost 30, yeah, 37,000 unfavorable on spending. We invested some of that money from the Trump signs in actual campaign expenditures. And we included just the last month or so, or one of the last meetings, $10,000 for the local candidates, which wasn't in the original budget. So we agreed to do that. So we included a, let's see, we took $25,000 of the money that was raised last fall which was committed to judges for future years. We took that out of the money, even though we got the cash. $25,000 was taken out of the revenue number, and we added $6,000 of expense, which came in like July 1st. So it's just missed by a little bit of being in the fiscal year. We're on a cash basis, so that's the way it happened. Anyway, overall, we were actually pretty close to the budget when we finished all that. We're within $2,000 of the budget. The actual number is $113,000 coming in, $192 going out, so we're $80,000 net expense for Victory, which is basically funding campaigns of various. We didn't have a golf tournament this year, so that was unfavorable on the revenue side and the spending side. So $32,000 favorable cash, unfavorable cash flow. We didn't have the golf event. Ticketed events was very close. So overall, we were $25,000 favorable on the revenue side, which is donations, and $32,000 favorable on the expense side, mostly the administrative area there. So $57,000 favorable relative to the budget. So that's the numbers. Is there any questions? I see John's closed here. Okay.
Thank you, Jim. So the next item on the agenda is the Financial Review Committee report. I'm just going to pull that up real quick. Call on the chair of the Financial Review Committee, Lori Crichton, to come forward and give her report.
Hi, I'm Lori Crichton, Precinct 89, also chair of the Financial Review Committee. The committee consisted of myself, Dave Chapman, Lucy Jeffers, Stu Reeves, and Doris Miles. I think up there you can see at the top of the screen you can see the rule that we were tasked with. And it's a very short rule compared to the other rules, our rules package. But we do not conduct an audit. It's a financial review. And it's basically looking at all receipts, expenses, outstanding debts, and comparing with the annual budget, making sure everything that came in and out was recorded appropriately in the appropriate account per the budget item. We met in early December and met with Jim and his financial team, which consisted of Dan Bollinger and Lisa Babb. A couple other people were there as well, to kind of get a handle on what their whole accounting function, how it all worked. What they did, when they meet, what they use. Primarily it's a QuickBooks-based system. Jim was able to download for us on a monthly basis, starting in January, the year-to-date transactions from QuickBooks. So we had everything year-to-date, every single month from January on, in every single budgeted account. So we could see every transaction as a committee. We started in February, meeting at headquarters to go through all the expenses, deposits that we wanted to see. We looked in the files, and we looked at the support. We also, there were a lot, of course, requests for reimbursement because, of course, some people were reimbursed for expenses they weren't directly paid to vendors. Everything was recorded to the appropriate budget category for the fiscal year. We did note, however, that certain expenses incurred related to Meta, which is Facebook and Google, had no related graphic, thus making it challenging to tell what budget category the expense was related to. Okay? That was our only little hiccup, and that was in the Victory expense category. They're on a cash basis. So we look at, it's a change in cash balance from one year to the next. That's our change that we look at on the income statement side, okay? So when we see the budgeted net cash flow for the year of 159,500 loss, that's really the change in cash that they expected to see from one year to the next. Their actual net cash flow was only 84,251 less than the prior year. So that resulted in a favorable variance in the sense that they spent 75,000 less than what they planned on spending. And so for each budget category, we broke it down. We could see that they didn't spend as much on the administrative side of the budget. They had a lot of sales coming in Victory of all the merchandise in the office that they were selling, and that was an unexpected source of income that offset a lot of the expenses. But they also went over what we in the link today. Golf, we didn't have a tournament, as Jim said, and then they were under budget. Under budget in the new revenue, what they had planned on bringing in. So those were the changes that we saw, and we did have some recommendations. And we also did not know, Jim spoke at the end about how they did some of the budget committee at the end of the year, had done some post-year-end adjustments. We do not consider those because we strictly look at the cash transactions in his report. Those were non-cash adjustments that he did to his numbers. Our recommendations are that third-party vendor documentation support for every expenditure is in the files at the time of occurrence, ensuring proper budget categorization is easily identifiable. Also, we suggest they have a standard expense reimbursement request form. It just would make it much more easier to follow and much more uniform. And it's not like there's 1,000 transactions happening. Okay, it's not a large amount of transactions that go on, but it just would make it nice. Also, debit card issuance be limited to the chair, executive director, and treasurer only. And those are our findings.
Are there any questions concerning the financial review? You may come forward. Name and precinct.
On, you didn't have a mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. I took it away.
John Overman, precinct 137. Lord, I'll ask you this, but I don't necessarily think you're going to have the answer. I think we need to get Jim back up here. I'm trying to understand how we, as a body, intentionally approved a budget for the last fiscal year that was going to lose $160,000. I have no recollection of this body ever approving of us intentionally scheduling to lose $160,000 in an accounting year. And the fact that we only lost $84,000, we're supposed to feel good about. Okay? I mean, this is like the fuzziest math I've ever seen. And I had to wait for this because I couldn't follow Jim's. This is horrific. I mean, it's just horrific that we would have a budget that we're going to lose $160,000 as an organization. That's like insanity. And to write it off as an excuse of election year that's a terrible excuse. It's an unacceptable excuse. So I'd love to know how this happened.
So the budget that was passed in the last fiscal year called for, it's not a loss, by the way. I mean, if you do it on a year and bookend your years, it is if you treat it that way, it's a loss. But as we're on an ongoing cash basis, what the body did was decide to spend, because we had more cash reserves, to spend more in that fiscal year. If you added it off with bookends, more than we took in. But we had huge cash reserves, so the body budgeted to spend more than we took in of $160,000 in last year's budget. So how it happened is the body passed the budget, which allowed the spending through all the different expenses to be $159,000 $159,500 for the year, if you treat it as just a yearly look instead of an ongoing cash basis, to spend more than we took in that year on various projects and events and whatnot. That was the budget. The only thing Lori's doing besides budgeted categories and recommendations for how to review it more simply, make sure it's accurate, is to tell you, just like Jim did, variance to budget, not whether that's good, bad, or indifferent. It's just whatever the budget was last year, what are the objective numbers matched up with that budget? That is Lori's report is the budget.
Okay, but is Jim coming back up here then to give us a budget that we're going to vote on for the coming year? For the new year we're into?
I will be presenting the budget for the new year. You were like at the budget meeting when we discussed it. So that budget will be presented tonight.
That's going to be presented.
Yes, this is the review of last year's budget before we present and vote on this year's.
Because I don't remember, I come every meeting, and I don't remember any kind of thorough discussion of the budget that was going to have $160,000 spent above our expected revenues for the year. That's just, I don't remember that. I know a lot of other people don't remember it either, so I'm not sure how that got organized.
I'm looking at the budget numbers from the budget from last year, and those were the numbers that were approved by the body to spend. Yes.
Cody Weaver, Precinct 31, I have a question.
Yes, stage question.
The meta issue, can you tell me how much that amount was that is unassigned?
No, it was assigned to victory expenses. It was during about a 5-week period between late September, October, up to election time. Facebook ads, boosting of Facebook, Google ads. It's hard because we don't have a monthly account with them, with Meta, so we weren't able to get invoices from them, so we can only rely on receipts. Unfortunately, the receipts aren't detailed enough. They have 2-letter words like EV 24, victory 24, and then other letters and amounts. It's just, they're all put to victory, of course. Victory expenses. Beyond that, there's no graphics to show what they look like on Facebook. Which Facebook ad was this? I could tell there was some words like canard. Okay, that was on there. Some of you can tell what they were for. Others you can't. A lot of them you can't. They totaled maybe $17,800, something like that.
Okay. Just so the body's clear, all of the ads that were rendering victory, there are invoices from Meta for all the victory ads in the file. Receipts that were paid to Meta for the ads that were run. What was not in it was the detail that you would get if you had the account with Meta yourself, or the party did, the detail which would show exactly what the exact ads were that went with the expense. But all of the money that was reimbursed to any individual or spent was paid to Meta.
Who holds the ad account that would have that information?
Probably whoever is the person placing the order for the ad.
Do we know who that is?
I don't know for all of the ads. I know that a significant number of the ads were placed by former Chairman Shelby Williams, and he provided all the receipts and the money, showing the money that he had paid to Meta for the victory ads before he was reimbursed.
Thank you.
It was the Collin County Republican Party's ad account. All of it. Chris Bailey can show you everything.
Name and precinct, and your question.
Jim Burton, precinct 240. One recommendation that I do have for you is that you don't let anybody have debit cards or credit cards. A lot of people are going to that now. It's just a huge rush. You need to have people put these expenses on their own credit cards. They can float them for 30 days and get reimbursed, and that way you don't go out to cash before the time. Okay, because you have something.
No, you can ask your question and state your recommendation. I would say that it is, first of all, it's not feasible for some of the expenses for some people to do that. I don't intend on using a debit card, but the other thing is I've been told my accountant's the other way. Don't use your own card to do reimbursement. Use the party account and get it paid, because the reimbursement process is not digital, it's cumbersome, it's physical, it's paper, it's in drawers, it takes time, so it's better to just use the card, the company card, but I I do use my own when I charge things, so I'm following your recommendation, Jim. And I've been told I should stop doing that.
You should talk to CPAs who know what they're talking about.
I will listen to you and Lori if y'all say I should use my own opportunity. So, any other questions for Ms. Wright or myself regarding the financial review of 2024-2025?
Sure, John Montez, Precinct 155. I'll be real quick. Based on some of the questions that came up regarding, the better tracking of those that ad spend, and the former chairman mentioning that maybe we can get those details, if we can look at changing the process in the future so that we're not mired in this, trying to figure out where that spend went, which candidates it supported. See if we can kind of tighten that up and get the detailed reporting, if it's available, as maybe Shelby might allude to.
The reason it's important to have that is because it allows us to track what's successful in the future. For me, it's not an audit with respect to where the money went. It's an audit as to whether or not something was productive or not. So all the money for meta ads is accounted for. It would just be nice to know when we ran them, for who, and how much we spent, to see if going forward we can adjust and learn from how we spent, how much we spent, when we spent, and who we spent for. So my concern about that recommendation was not there was any money, because I've reviewed it, Jim's reviewed it, and now the Financial Review Committee's reviewed it, so all the money is accounted for to the penny. It's just for record purposes, we'd like to know what the specific ads were and how much, because obviously we were unsuccessful, despite Mr. Kennard's brave race in HG70, we were unsuccessful in that race, so some of us would like to know how to allocate, how much to spend on it and whatnot. So,
where you're doing well, where you're not, change.
Thank you. Question, Mr. Lee?
Yes, David Lee, number 9. I'd like to make a motion to allow Shelby to address the body with your permission, maybe answer some questions for explanation.
No, not at this time. This is a debate between precinct chairs over the finances of the party for the Collin County Republican Party. If there's any questions from precinct chairs, they can come forward and state their questions.
Thank you. Michael String, 56. So we don't, the county party doesn't have its own Facebook account then, it's used by individuals, is that what I'm understanding? So we don't have a Collin County GOP Facebook ad account, it's through individuals, is that what I'm understanding?
Well, no, we have Collin County Facebook accounts, is what I understand.
No, but the business ad account from Meta, so it's a separate business ad account that allows us to run.
We're not at that level of having that.
I would recommend that we get our own, and go through the process. It's a cumbersome process. I mean, I've done it for a PAC that I have in my own campaigns. I know it's not easy, but I would recommend that we do that moving forward, because that would solve a lot of these issues, I think. And the other question I had was, so you said you limited the debit cards to chair, executive director, and treasurer. I don't know if I heard who all had debit cards previously than just those 3 roles.
So my understanding is that the only debit cards that were issued were to the chairman, the executive director, the treasurer, and the chair of the Lincoln Day.
Okay, so there was
a significant number of month-to-month, daily expenses for Lincoln Day, so it was much more convenient, and some of the sums were significant enough to not ask someone to charge them themselves. So the recommendation here was just to try to limit the number of debit cards to officers, and so.
Just limiting that one.
Yes. So there was just one other one that we're aware of.
I would say that I would be more in favor of not doing reimbursements and doing actual direct expenditures as well too. I don't think, as someone that does business expenses a lot, I would recommend limiting our reimbursement expenses and using actual debit cards for the county party.
We just found, for our purposes, it's a lot more review-wise, it's a lot more traceable and substantial to have all that documentation, and they meet weekly to do all their accounting, so it's not a monthly thing, so it's easy.
It was recommended to do less direct and do expense. I would rather not do the reimbursement. So, yeah.
Thank you.
John Alderman, Precinct 137. This is really just a point of information. It was shared with me that The budget was approved last year during the September meeting, but it was put up on the screen while we were in the midst of voting on the runoffs for the rules debate that night. And I think that's why myself and many other people, like I think I was a counter-mayor, I was a watcher. I think a lot of people, it was apparently thrown up on the screen while that was going on. And that's why I think a lot of us missed it. So thankfully we don't have that going on tonight. Thanks, Howard.
You're welcome. So that is basically a review of the actual numbers, reviewed by the Financial Review Committee, that the actual numbers track the numbers for the books and records and the QuickBook transactions, and all of the bank accounts track the budget and the categories that they're supposed to be in from Financial Review. The next item on the agenda is the presentation of the fiscal year 2025-26 budget. And let me just tell you, this budget does not ask the body to approve spending any amount more than we actually take in this month, number one. It's a conservative budget, both fiscally and politically. So if you look at the column to the left on budget, you'll see the difference between the columns. So you can kind of compare the budgets of prior years. So that shows you what the budgeted items are.
Can we blow that up?
It's already pretty late.
Yes.
There's another one right in front of you.
That better? All right. So the total budget, I'll get to the bottom line and I'll let you break right. The bottom line is we are seeking, the budget is a net $8,000 in a positive budget for the year. It's basically I'll pull up the actual breakdown, but here are the actual numbers, and I've actually included some items from the budget committee meeting. So we have general contributions on the first line. I'm going to speed through this so y'all can ask questions if you have them, because we do still have time, and we're going to get through this as well as some new business that people have asked to speak about. So $120,000, what that is, the reason that's higher is because we've consolidated the categories, so that is just basically the amount of money we get, income from sources other than Lincoln Day or victory. So that is sustaining support, that is selling merchandise, that is people just going on Anadot and just giving us a $500 donation because they love the Republican Party. And we love those people because they don't even ask for anything. They just like us and they give us money. So we are budgeting that amount. Now, if you look at it compared to the other years, it seems high, but if you look at the other amounts from other categories, you'll see that consolidated number is actually a conservative number. So what we're hoping to do is bring in $120,000 generally outside of Lincoln Day this year, $250,000 in income from Lincoln Day, total, not net, but total, and $10,000 from victory. The reason that number is there but low is because victory will only be in existence for a very short time, and we won't actually do full fundraising until probably we're in the next fiscal year as we ramp up for the election. We will have some victory. We probably sell some merchandise in headquarters, so there's a small budgetary number to get income, but we don't actually ramp up spending for victory with signs and block walks and ads and events until later in the election year, which will be after June 30th. So that's why victory is not in this budget, because this fiscal year ends before victory really kicks off. Next year's budget, the next budget we go through will have to include victory income and expense writ large for the entire campaign. There is no budget this year for the golf tournament. In lieu of that, we are having the Labor Day rally on September 1st that we talked about earlier. So that is the event that is kind of taking the fall place of the golf tournament. So that is why that is zeroed out. So we basically have total income for the year. We are hoping to bring in $380,000. And then the expense side, you can look at the expenses. My target for Lincoln Day is $110,000, and per John Donovan's request at the budget meeting, instead of just asking for $110,000 without the body at least understanding where that kind of goes, we have kind of it's broad, but that's basically the categories in which Lincoln Day spends. We spend about $62,000 to $68,000 on average for the facility. We spend probably a little bit more than this, but I'm hoping we can we can save a little bit on the facility, but about $15,000 on auction items, marketing, and miscellaneous expenses. And then we have budgeted $30,000 for a Lincoln Day speaker, which, having surveyed the speaker circuit, is plenty of money to get you a solid speaker that would be a draw. There's possibilities that we can go under that number, lots of possibilities, so it's not at all a request that we spend that much. It is just to give you an idea of what it costs if you had to pay for a speaker to draw 800, 850 people for Collin County's Lincoln Day. That is a reasonable number. I'm hoping to come in under that number, and a number of the contacts we have are positive for that. If we go over that number, one of the recommendations that were made and that I intend to follow is the committee in charge of Lincoln Day, the temporary committee that will be in charge of Lincoln Day, as we decided to make the budget committee chairperson, whoever that is, an official member, a vice chair of the Lincoln Day committee, so that that person is intimately acquainted with the budget and can report to the budget committee, to me, and to the body if there is a deviation from budgetary constraints that requires the body to at least be made aware of, and possibly even in certain circumstances vote on. If, for instance, we have the opportunity to get a speaker which could be double that price, my opinion is that is enough money from our budget that the body should at least have knowledge of it and a say if we're going to go for something big. It may be that the body's 100% for it if it's the right person and the draw and the demographics work for that. But it's also something that if you're going to ask to spend $30,000, $40,000 more than what I've represented to you as a reasonable amount, that's something that the budget chair and the chair will bring to the body, to the budget committee first, but then to the body if necessary to seek the body's approval and blessing before those major changes are made. If you go down here, we have expenses continue with general events. That is basically a consolidation of all the events for the year, including the Labor Day rally, all the expenses for events for the year that we do from the rodeos, and Dave is going to come speak briefly at the very end of this. He's on the agenda to speak briefly about what's on tap for all the events. And just to note, there's a sign-up sheet in the back which has an itinerary of all the events that Collin County GOP is basically committed to through the next end of the fiscal year. And so there's a volunteer sign-up sheet for all those as well back there. And then we move into our, so marketing and events is $40,000. Then we move into our overhead expenses. These are relatively fixed, but I think the body should see them as a line item. Payroll expenses, you can see there's an uptick of $10,000. That is mainly an uptick for a few things that we're just paying more, and then this is an election workers fiscal year because we have a primary in March that we have to bake in compensation for election workers, and so that is compensation that was requested from elections to make sure that we have budgeted for that and it's not off budget. So that is the reason for that increase. Rent, there's a slight escalation in rent. It's minor for the year. The other administrative expenses for the office with supplies and whatnot are basically, they're a little less this year than last year. Utilities are slightly down. So the total costs are $500 less than last year, so basically flat on administrative expenses. But victory expenses, $5,000 is basically the budget I've asked for. We've got $10,000 on the plus side of making. That is basically so that we can test items before we get into the heavy season at headquarters and events to see what are the hot sellers. And so we want to have the purchasing power to buy some campaign items like hats and shirts and alligator Alcatraz stuff and whatever is hot at the time and see what sells. That way when we ramp into victory, which will be significantly more budgetary ask for products to actually sell or give away with donations, we'll kind of know what works and we'll kind of have a guide. So the $5,000 is a test amount to order merchandise and see what flies off the shelf, and whatever flies off the shelf we're going to order more of in victory. Technology is significantly less than this year, but slightly higher than, slightly higher than the budget. There's two reasons for that. One, we are attempting to migrate to a SharePoint system, which has licenses that we have to do, but it is going to allow us a lot more utilities and a lot more accessibility and a lot more versatility. But I'm not a tech guy.
But when every single person that uses SharePoint tells me that we need to be using SharePoint as opposed to Argenta, which is older and very structured and it's very limited to its functionality, so we're going to make a migration which costs some money, but it's not severely expensive. And then we're also going to continually work on updating the website. And so while we haven't contracted outside, our IT chair, Frank DeSimone, has been working on a lot of updates to the website. I'm using now Outlook, so people that send me everything on my personal email, because I can use it and I understand it. The interface for my chairman email will now be through Outlook, thanks to Frank, and I can start getting emails at my chairman email address going forward. So you're still welcome to copy my personal email address, but for ease of use going forward, we should have a very smooth transition to Outlook for me on the email address. But Frank's been working on that, so we're asking for $20,000 total for the year for the IT budget, which brings our total expenses to $357 with $15,000 reserved for future projects, which is a $372,000 expense, which is a grand total of a net $8,000. So $380 in, $372 out on the budget for a positive number of $8,000. So with that line item, I will entertain any questions from the body about the proposed budget for fiscal year 2025-2026. I believe for the budget.
Is there a second?
I second Steve Kleinberg, precinct.
Thank you, Steve. This is debatable. If anyone wants to debate,
I just had a quick question, because I know Lincoln Day is, point of information, yes, Michael Street 56.
Basic point of information.
Since Lincoln Day has been a hot topic discussed outside of this meeting, do you have a rough estimate, actuals for the last 3 or 4 years of what our income, our gross income and expenses were?
I think they're on here.
Because it's budget, doesn't show actuals.
Oh, that's budget, the actual.
Yeah.
Yes, let me see. I do have that. I know I do.
That's not a question, but that's just if we have those actuals, it'd be helpful.
So the actuals for Lincoln Day, just to give you an indication of total expenditures. Okay, so for Lincoln Day, starting in fiscal year 2019, and I'm just going to read them in order. I'm not going to say the year after every year. $95,511, $83,017, $65,314, $110,734.67. $90,529, $100,602, and $149,280. So in order for 2019, those are the amounts actually expended for the Lincoln Day dinner. And so the gross, Mr. Sherman has asked for the gross income from each one of those years. I'm not going to do the math here, and it's not broken down that way for each Lincoln Day. I just have the total expense and income category, but here's how much income was made, not the net, but the total income for the years starting once again in 2019. $261,000, $152,000 and change, $166,655, $374,757, $196,035. $252,000, and last year $220,205.11. But as Mr. Farley mentioned, that was the fiscal year. $12,500 came in on July 3rd, so the actual income for Lincoln Day for last year was $232,705. So that is a kind of a running total income. So you can kind of juxtapose how much this body budgeted to make $85,000 last year's Lincoln Day. That was an approved budget. My personal opinion, I voted to approve it as well, so I'm not on me too. I think that's insufficient.
Currently, the way we operate the party needs to make probably a minimum of $120,000, and probably would like to make, as we are going to try to make this year, about 140, which would be what I consider a very positive, a good Lincoln Day, not great, but a good Lincoln Day. So I think that was a low number, but we did come within $1,500 of the budgeted amount from last year's Lincoln Day. So it just, I don't think that would sustain the party. The reason we have the cash flow we have is because after Lincoln Day making $85,000 is because we had a huge cash reserve or a huge balance in our account going back 2 years, the 2 prior years. And so it allowed us to spend in victory last year, which we did, and pretty successfully for the most part, and on Lincoln Day last year. So, but my goal would be to make at least 120. My budgeted amount, hopefully, will be 140. All right. With that, there's no more questions or any more debate on that. There's a motion and a second, so I'll ask for the yeas and nays. All those in favor of approving the proposed fiscal year 2026 budget, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries and the budget is approved. The next item on tonight's agenda, and we are going to get through these relatively quickly, and we may need to table this. I hate to do that, but just so part of due diligence is to look where our lease comes up for renewal. So the body needs to know, and this probably is something we probably want to talk about in another meeting, the next meeting, but I'll let the body decide if they want to talk about it tonight. It is my job, I think, to review the current terms of our lease, where we are, how much it costs us, and then look around for other spaces and see what it would cost to move, what the possibilities are, if we want to change the type of space and things like that. So a temporary committee was appointed by our prior chairman, Shelby Williams, who had been working diligently to look at the potential for moving the location, or just to look and make sure we're getting the deal we need so that I can report to the body that due diligence was done and make a recommendation to the body on what we should do. And so Gary Carey was the chair of that committee. And so Gary has a quick presentation to show the body the results of that search and the costs associated with moving headquarters, and then I will address that briefly. But I will tell you that the current budget that you just passed does not, in fact, include costs for moving or increased rent for a headquarters. So we would need to revisit that at a future meeting if the body has a different view than I have on the headquarters matter. But Mr. Carey, would you please come forward and just run the body quickly through your findings with respect to the current lease in the Collin County headquarters?
Hey, good evening, everyone. How y'all doing? Good. Yeah, it's a fun evening. Congratulations to all the new precinct chairs. It's exciting to see us growing that count. Congratulations to all the new people that are appointed in committees and officer positions. So exciting stuff. So if we could bring up the presentation, I'll take you through it real quick.
Terry, which one is this?
It's the right one.
Right there? Sorry. Flags. You want to start presentation?
Yeah. Great, thanks.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm going to take you through this real quick and then Brian will pick it up. So, a while back we had discussed the fact that our lease was coming up, and I brought in some folks and we did a pretty extensive search on kind of where we were going and what we could do. So really the goal here was to move Collin County GOP HQ to a more central, updated location in a manner that was fiscally responsible. So that's what we started out by doing. This particular map here will show you that the folks I was working with, we did an extensive search throughout this area of Collin County, looking at a lot of different sites in an effort to say what's really available and what might be able to work for us. And it was a combination of office sites and some retail sites. But the reality is, in this particular market in North Texas, sites, if you will, like we have currently that would be deemed a retail site, are very, very in short supply. and they're expensive, and they're challenging to actually get your hands on. So what we did is the first map showed you a lot of different locations, and I know this is going to be really high level. But what we did from there is we narrowed it down to 9 locations that we did a pretty deep dive on. And a couple of those were retail locations. Candidly, a little spoiler alert, one of the things we had a retail location that was pretty interesting, and it got snatched up almost as soon as we got there. So that was a bit disappointing. My guess is we all might have been interested in that. So the next thing we did is really physically visited all these top sites here you see above the line. A lot of them ended up being office sites because as we looked through what was available, those were the best options for us. And so that's what this map is here. We dug into these different things, and ultimately in working with Byron and Dan and Jim and a few others, we came back with a couple of recommendations. And the top recommendation for a move would have been to move to Waters Creek. And there is an office site over there that I'll give you a little bit more information on. It's in an interesting area, and if you're talking about moving to a more centrally located upscale site, this certainly met those criteria. And so this particular site was, 2,668 feet. It would need to be remodeled. But when you look at the rent things, ultimately we baked in total gross rent, which was $93,407, which is significantly more than we're paying right now. So we dug into that. This particular site was interesting because it was on the east side of the center, and it had covered parking just to the east of the site. So you could pull into the second level, walk through a quick breezeway, and move again to the office, which I think would have been convenient and also would be upscale. You know, you're in a pretty neat area up there at Waters Creek. So this was, out of all the office sites we looked at, from a use and some of the other criteria, and especially from a financial perspective, this was what we decided was the best option in terms of office. This is how it's currently laid out. It would require some remodeling, and depending on where we go as a body, if this is a site that ultimately people come back and say, hey, we want to dig into this, then we'd have to remodel this, and the landlord has it. It's a crew on site that would do this. And by the way, they have interest in us doing this. If this is what you got to decide to go here, these guys are very pro us moving up here to Waters Creek. So that was the best site we came up with. So other than that, we talked to the landlord about staying in place. And so we talked to them about 2 different terms. One was a 3-year term, and just a little backstory. We're currently paying $13.27 a foot for this space we're in, okay? Triple nets are running about $7 when you look back, and so overall, it's give or take $20 a square foot that we're paying all in on these sites. For a 3-year term, they wanted a 3% annual increase. And so the gross here would be $46,000 a year, or $38 a month. This would nominally be just marginally more than we're paying now. But we had a second option, and the second option was to keep the same starting rent we had, which in this market, by the way, this is well below market. They're renting these spaces for $16, $17 a foot. The fact that we've been in this space for a while and we're a good tenant, if we sign back up for 5 years, year 1 they keep our rent flat. 2% increases after that, $45,546 annually, or $37.95 a month. So virtually the same rent we're paying now, and I think Byron, somebody here said there would be a nominal increase, and that's what that would be about. And then we had one other option. If we stay in place for 5 years, one of the things they would do is give us $15,000 up front to spruce up the place, payable back over the 5 years. And when I did the math, really it would cost us to get the $15,000. This isn't a close estimate, but the real cost to us over that time would be about $1,100. So $15,000 up front, $11,000, to pay back over the term. And so that's where we're at. And I'm going to turn it back over to Byron. Yeah, Tim, you have a question? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, if I remember today's 112. I remember, I thought that there was going to be some looking at possibly having a place where we could also meet as well, a larger area. Was that considered in any of this?
Well, when you look at the costs of doing something like that with where we're at financially right now, I mean, you're going to be paying for rent, conditioning, and a space that would be sitting vacant for a while. So it's not something we did a deep dive into at this point, primarily because of kind of where we're headed financially. And also, it'd be challenging to find a space that would handle this, that we would want to pay for month in, month out to have one meeting. I think it would be challenging, just my opinion, everybody can have their own. I think it'd be fiscally challenging.
Just so the body knows that it costs about $8,000 to change to have this space for 10 meetings a year. So it would have to be a space that could be rented by, we would have to market it and rent it to others, or it would basically stay vacant, because the only time you use this space is for these meetings. You may have some offices or conference rooms to allow people to meet in, but it just doesn't make fiscal sense when it only costs less than $10,000 a year to use this facility to pay rent 12 months of the year. So it wasn't a serious consideration. It just is always something that would be nice that we owned or rented our own space that we would have to rent somewhere else. But the deal we have here seems to be more financially responsible.
And Byron, when you look at the available space like this, not just here, I mean, there's quite a bit of opportunity.
When you look at this kind of space, there's a lot of opportunity out there to rent these kind of spaces. So if we did pick up that space, we'd be in a challenging market to try to find users on a consistent basis to pay it back. And I guess the question is that the best use of our funds, or are there better uses? That's the question.
Name of precinct chair?
John Hahn, 137. What is our square footage at a current location?
2347. It would be nice if we had a little more square footage, but we think if we went the tenant improvement option there, we probably could reconfigure the space somewhat to accommodate a few more larger meetings where we are when we did the spruce up. But the biggest thing that meets there are clubs. We did have a special meeting there for the body once, as y'all all remember. Not the best place to have it, but it worked for the people that showed up. So, yes, Mr. Schreiber?
Yeah, Michael Shreen, 56. What would for the 5-year lease, what would the lease buyout or termination of lease if we decided to terminate it early?
Okay, so one of the things we talked about was whether or not there's going to be much of a buyout at all, because we're under market. So it may actually be, if we wanted to move out, they want us to move out if we're going to move out, because they can relet it. So the buyout may be reasonable. Usually, I mean, at a minimum, usually the lease buyout is what's remaining on the lease. But let me just tell you a secret about the 3 years. So I was very interested in the 3 years and not commit. But a couple of people smarter than me reminded me that there is no way this organization is moving in a presidential election year. Our lease is up in October, which means it will be up in October of 2028. I don't want to be not negotiating nor renewing a lease in October of 2028 if I'm chair. I may not be, so somebody else may want to do that. But if I'm chair, I wouldn't wish that on another chair. I'll put it that way. So we kind of settled on the fact that we can basically lock in our rent and our under market space that we're all using for 5 years. And so while no decisions have been made, these are the 3 options. And technically, I think the 5-year works, because I don't think we're going to want to be moving in the spring or summer or even fall of 2028.
The only other, would we be able to change or do an extra 6 months or 5, whatever, to get our lease renewal not in October, so that we all.
It's possible. We'd have to pay for it. Yes. So just so the body knows, our lease is up in October. So we'll probably need to engage and probably work on signing, give notice and sign the lease with the landlord next month. So that's kind of the timeline we're on.
Just add an extra 6 months or something that would give us, push us out of the November election might be helpful.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, we could go 5, maybe they give us 60. I'm pretty sure the landlord might, with the escalation, even at 2%, which is very reasonable, below market on the escalation, we could probably get a longer lease than even 5 years.
Yeah, I personally think that's a good idea, and I think we can probably do something there. I think that's a smart idea.
Name of precinct?
Anna Cabell, precinct 5. So our storage that we're paying for, did we factor that into our costs as well?
Yes. We just recently took down a second storage facility to accommodate all items that we can't store at headquarters. But once again, the cost of the storage facility is dwarfed by the cost of renting more retail or commercial space for meetings and storage.
That's expensive storage.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, Stephen Phelps, 102. It is now 20 after 9. Unless there's any other pressing business. for this evening. I'd like to move that we table the rest of the agenda for the next meeting and adjourn.
So we have a few announcements, so if people need to get out of here like this very minute, a number of people have asked me if they can make brief announcements before we go, so I'll leave this, I just want the body to know that people have asked to make some announcements before we adjourn. But with that caveat, letting you know that, I'll still entertain a motion in a second to adjourn if the body chooses to adjourn and put those off to the next meeting.
Ryan, can you please restate this motion?
So there's a motion and a second. Well, you're going to make your announcement anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, no stopping Terry.
Yeah, Terry, go ahead. Terry has an announcement regarding precinct chair filings, so I think we need to hear that with respect to the precinct chair schedule, and after that, I will move the motion to adjourn after Terry. Go right ahead, Terry.
All right, can everybody hear me? All right, so September 9th, mark your calendar, September 9th. That's on a Tuesday. We're going to start taking precinct chair applications. I'm going to send it to you electronically. I will knock anybody out if you bring it in before the 9th. I will not take it. I cannot take it. So I'm going to send it out electronically, fill it out. If you know people that are wanting to run, get that to them. I cannot accept it until September 9th. The next thing, I have 2 people that showed up tonight. We have, I'm going to also share that PowerPoint that was going on. Some thanks to the people that cleaned up and organized that storage unit. It was a disaster area. It was like a death trap in there. So I will send you that PowerPoint. Also, we have Frontline. Where is he? Párate, stand up. All right, we have on there, we are Collin cares. You've got on your seats here a little QR code. Please consider in Kerr County, they are desperately needing still help just because it happened in July. There's a huge cleanup that's going on. All right, he didn't want to come up here to the front. His name is Brandon Baca. Thank you so much. Give him a hand, everybody. And the other group that we are donating to is Blanco River Meat Company. And you saw this guy on the PowerPoint. There's also a video link. I'm going to send that out to you. He's out there. He's been out there since the 1st of July cooking. This is his own business out of his own pocket. And these are the heroes and warriors that we need to be supporting. And where is Sam? Sam Hall. Stand up, Sam. I got my recommendation. Sam Hall is here in McKinney. So thank you, Sam, for making those recommendations. Please make sure you clean up that housekeeping, please.
So
Yes.
one last thing, we are matching $1,000 of
Yes.
donations to that per flood relief, those organizations that are up on the website and whatnot. So please give to that so we can make that and get that to them. We're taking those through the, like next Monday or Tuesday, so try to go online and do that. Without objection, the meeting is adjourned. The items that were tabled from the agenda will be moved to old business at next month's meeting. Thank you. You save your conversations outside, so you need to vacate the building in just a few minutes. Thank you, everybody.